Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. This week at the round table of dim lighting, I'm gonna be talking about my recent trip. So much happened on my trip and on your trip that we've decided to make it a
separate episodes. They're not two parts, they're independent. We can vacate separately and then update each other collectively.
I wanna say that, it wasn't my idea for me to go first. And just before we got started, you said, you know what? You should go first. And I was like,
then I said,
I accept this.
But I want credit. No.
So I'm gonna go first today.
Well, I know
and
what
talk
I'm gonna
about my
say.
trip.
I don't know what you're gonna say because I wasn't there. So I'm a bit more interested in that.
Well, it's funny because yesterday, I've been back for 2 days, but yesterday was our first day back in the studio following the trip. And Stevie came into our office and as people do, she said, "How was your trip?" And of course, I'm just sitting in there with Link and I'm like, well, I can't tell you because I can't tell Link because I have to tell him on Ear Biscuits. It's like,
you could ask me to step out.
Such a weird thing. And so then I was almost just like, well,
but it is my office.
So Stevie, you could listen to this episode of Ear Biscuits to learn about my trip, but I cannot tell you anything right now.
Oh, she falls asleep to Ear Biscuits every night, is what she told me.
Well, it is boring at times, especially when you know us very well.
People do that though. People will
fall asleep to podcasts.
To Ear Biscuits specifically. I feel like it's just our soothing drone of conversation that it rarely gets so enthusiastic that it's like an alarm clock.
Well, I got something to wake you up. I can encapsulate my trip in one visual, and that is me being squirted on by a penis water gun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just get ready. There's more where that came from.
Show it to me.
I've already talked about the penis water gun, but I do wanna say, this is probably not an episode for the children to listen to. I don't know, it's not gonna be crazy, but
What do you mean you've already talked about the penis water gun?
Just then.
Oh.
I'm saying, usually if they're like NPR would say,
put a disclaimer.
This episode, if there are little ones who listen, they should not listen. And I said penis water gun before the disclaimer, so I just apologize for that. But there's more than a penis water gun that's coming.
So I don't get to see it right now, is what you're telling me.
I didn't buy one.
I thought you said a picture.
No, what are you talking about, picture?
You said I have a picture.
I said a mental picture.
Oh, crap.
It was like a visual. But I'm sure you can look one up on the internet. It's just like a plastic penis that has a trigger on it. And a woman in a golf cart squirted it on me.
A stranger? Have you even said where you were?
I was Key West. I did say where I was. I already said I was in Key West.
Maybe I'm having a listening problem.
Well,
I'm doing nothing but listening.
Yes, you have a listening problem. Yes,
Key West.
We've almost had an intervention for this several times, but we just keep getting by.
There's lots of
keep kicking the can down the road.
Right.
So yeah,
but only one of them is Key West.
Key West is the
been there.
Is the end of the line, and I never been there as well. I had preconceived ideas about what Key West was. I mean, geographically, this is like the end of Florida. I did not know that you can drive, as my brother-in-law and sister-in-law did, because we were with Jesse's sister and her husband. They had driven all the way from North Carolina to Key West, and once you hit Miami, you're still on a road for 154 miles, is what the sign said.
After Miami.
To get to the end of the line at Key West. So, would you have known that? I had no idea that there's just, 154
it's connected
miles.
By bridges.
Yeah,
I didn't know
There's
that.
one section that's a 7-mile bridge over the ocean. It used to be like the longest bridge in America or the world or something, but it's not anymore. It is still there though.
Is there like surf underneath you?
Surf.
Waves? Are there waves? This is the ocean.
I did not cross the bridge, I flew there.
Oh.
Yeah, I flew from Atlanta to Key West. You can fly right into Key West. It's one of those like
on
small,
a little plane?
No, interestingly, very small airport. Talking like Burbank style airport, just a few gates. But there's a lot of folks that want to go to Key West. So it was a normal size plane. And the island is 2 miles wide and 4 miles long, or 4 miles wide, and I don't know the direction. Direction is not something that you're worried about in Key West. First of all, like where's north and south? Nobody knows. And that's not what's on people's minds. I had these ideas about Key West. I think one real prominent sort of reputation is that Key West, as is like Palm Springs, is a place where gay men like to go. Anecdotally, I can confirm that is the case.
Older men?
Gay men of all ages, but
okay.
Yeah. But I do think that the most now, first of all, but also all kinds of people. I mean, it wasn't like 90% gay men. It was also a lot of just men and women, couples, people just of all ages, but it is a little bit older clientele.
Well, my dad went there a few weeks before you did. So I'm like, okay, I'm starting to develop a clientele situation. So you got gay men and then you got my dad who, you know, spends a lot of his life on a golf cart going around Myrtle Beach. So if he's gonna go to another locale, you've already mentioned a golf cart.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is starting to add up for my dad, maybe not for you.
Yeah, well, it's quite a melting pot, though most of the ingredients in that melting pot are white. Okay. I will say that. So it's a very white melting pot.
Miami is not white.
No. But I'm saying people of all walks of life, but just mostly white.
Okay.
But I gotta say, I had a good time. It was a good trip, as I will tell you.
Tell me.
Now, my wife's sister and her husband have been going to Key West for years and always talking about how much fun they have down there and how we've got to join them.
See, I thought that was Costa Rica. Am I crazy?
Well, you have a listening problem, and it is probably time for an intervention.
So you're telling me that they
have been to Costa Rica, and I have been to Costa Rica with them.
And they didn't want to start a business and move to Costa Rica permanently?
That was a separate thing.
But it existed, and I heard it. Ha,
well,
see?
Well,
but since then they moved on to Key West, which I never knew.
No, they're independent ventures, and the Key West is a frequent, in fact, they had already been to Key West this year, like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Right? Just a hop, skip, and a few states down.
Are they gay men?
No, a heterosexual couple.
Nope.
Which
are they my dad?
As about to say, there's a lot of that as well.
Okay, cool.
I will say that I did one night. I wore my leopard print shorts and I got a lot of compliments.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been asking us to go down there, and you know how it is, man. I mean, we don't. A lot of our travel is related to work, and also over the past 2 years we haven't traveled much at all. We had scheduled this trip about a year ago when no one knew what was gonna happen with COVID and like, well, where is it gonna be? And we scheduled it for late October, right when it was Ashley's birthday weekend. And I was like, I really doubt that this is actually gonna happen because who knows what, and then when the Delta wave started happening, I was like, oh no, there's no way we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then in talking to Science Mike, he was like, well, actually, in places like Florida, the Delta wave is going to hit so hard that will have receded significantly by that point, and it's exactly what happened. And especially in Key West, the numbers were never significant in Key West. I don't know, something about an island nation where a lot are outside.
It's not a nation.
You know, it actually is a nation. It's when you get off of the plane, the airport says, "Welcome to the Conch Republic," like a conch shell. Because
can they say that?
There are no rules at this place. You know the whole what stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens on an island stays on an island, and I am convinced that
even if you can get there via bridge.
Right. I think that there is a deeply ingrained, like thousands, like millennia ingrained in humans that like, hey, we're at this island. We can do whatever we want to. And what we do on this island, listen, as long as we don't talk about it to anybody else, no one's ever gonna find out about, right? Now, modern life has complicated that because of the bridge and the phones.
But I do get subconsciously, I mean, it's of a size that you feel like you could see all of it in a day? Or is it bigger than that?
Well, 2 by 4 miles. I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's mostly, there's like a main strip in the middle, which is, you know, bars, restaurants, shops, and then everything around that is a bunch of houses. very, I would say like a Charleston meets New Orleans vibe in terms of like the architecture, like these beautiful old Southern houses that are like, I mean, a lot of the properties, like in Beaufort, in Beaufort, North Carolina, there's this like down by the beach, those old wooden homes of different colors.
Stilts.
Not on stilts.
That's strange. I mean, with the amount of hurricanes that come through
And
there.
the thing that I was thinking the whole time is I was actually having trouble like enjoying it, knowing that, sea level is rising. And it was this weird thing that was happening to me. I was like, oh, this is beautiful, but is it gonna be here in 100 years? It's gonna be like Venice.
Don't get attached.
Because it literally feels like, because it's the truth, that this place is just above sea level. And all the sand is brought in from the Bahamas. There's no sand. It's, you might picture like this like Caribbean island with a bunch of white sand. Well, all the white sand is brought in from the Bahamas, and it is actually like crushed coral is what the actual surface of the sand is. But most of it, like as you go around the island, the perimeter of the island is like concrete, like a wall, basically. At some point they were like, we gotta stop this water, because I'm sure every time a big storm comes in, the whole place gets flooded. But that didn't take away from the vibe. I mean, we didn't go to the beach. We went to the beach to like eat at like some restaurants that are like right on the water, but there was no like, hey, going into the ocean for a dip.
Huh.
But the specific weekend that we were there was but just so you know, I made the decision that I felt like this was a responsible decision in light of where the numbers are at, the fact that I'm vaccinated, and the fact that we were gonna be outside most of the time. So just to kind of give you that piece of it. And but the specific weekend, which again was predetermined over like a year ago because of Ashley's birthday, happened to coincide with something called Fantasy Fest.
Fantasy Fest.
And I don't know the history of Fantasy Fest.
Let me guess what this might be.
But
I mean, so people go there in order to, I don't know, just let it all hang out? It doesn't seem like it would be, that seems like.
Literally.
Seems like Key West is just a place to have, that is a Fantasy Fest. What about this weekend is different?
I think it's just more of the same.
Oh, okay.
Now, how do I put this? During Fantasy Fest, and according to Chris and Ashley, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, this was an unusual amount of the things that we saw because of Fantasy Fest. They're like, this is not normal.
Okay, so the fantasy did up its ante. How?
But during Fantasy Fest, a light dusting of glitter on the breasts is considered a shirt.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say that?
A light dusting of glitter.
Dusting of glitter. Now you can get a full paint job, you can get just glitter, and there are multiple stands. Okay, what we would do, the typical night would be going out to eat. First of all, great food. I mean, really, really, really good food. Like I did not have a bad meal. I was like, dang, I mean, Chris and Ashley have been down there and they know the good spots, so they were taking us to the good spots. But
that goes a long way.
Man,
are you sitting at dinner eating a really good meal and you look over and there's somebody wearing glitter for a shirt?
Hell yes.
Really?
Really?
You're dining. You've been seated at a table.
Yeah.
This is not like order at the counter and then put your number at the table. This is
fine dining.
This is smoking or non.
And by the way, with very few exceptions, maybe one exception, we ate outside the whole time.
No shirt.
We did outdoor dining.
No shoes.
So we're like
no service unless you have glitter.
Eating on the sidewalk. And many of so when you're on the main drag, Duval Street, which is like several blocks, and it kind of has like, the main drag and like Bourbon Street, or there's a number of places in America that have this kind of vibe.
Public drinking.
Yes, and even though technically public drinking is not allowed, no one's following. I also think being topless except for glitter is technically illegal, but the cops are not having a problem with it.
It's the Conch Republic.
But
Conch?
I think Conch. Many of the restaurants and bars had a bar on the perimeter of the restaurant facing out, so everybody would sit looking at the sidewalk. And the thing that I noticed is that there were a number of facilities that, okay, this bar is a gay bar and there's a drag show, right? This bar is a gay bar and this is a drag show. But this bar is a bunch of old heterosexual people, you know, and it would be like right next to each other and we were just going everywhere. But the bars that were, there was like these older couples sitting there on the benches looking out, and they would just both be like not talking to each other.
Yeah.
And a pair of boobies would go by and they would just both watch them, and then they would talk to each other about them. I sat there and watched the boobies pass and then the people talk about it.
So there were that many people
Fascinating.
just walking around with their boobies flapping out, boobalubing it up with just glitter or body paint.
More body
were
paint
were
than
the
glitter.
nipples painted or like really glitter specific?
Depends on the person, man.
Wow, and what was the bottoms like? Are we talking bikini bottoms?
Okay, well, let me get to that in 1 second because I'm not done with the boobies yet.
Don't leave the boobs until you've fully explored them.
This is something that Jesse pointed out, and I have to agree.
How pointy was it?
Well, I think that's my point. Not in many cases, not very. And she was like, there is a big body positivity thing happening in Key West.
Nice.
It isn't like somebody's like, I have what is considered to be the
nicest rack.
perfect body that would be an Instagram model. It was like, I have a body and I have boobs and you're gonna see them and I'm proud of that. And it was just like, there was something kind of beautiful about just the level of freedom that people just walked around with. And again, according to the experts, this is not every single day. This is
Fantasy
Fest and then up to Halloween is what I've been told, where this is really concentrated. But there's stands, right? Like you're walking down the street and then there'll just be a woman sitting in a chair, completely topless, like pre-glitter, and then there's like another woman with like an airbrush thing and she's going in and doing the thing. Like, it's like going in, like there's like a kid getting face paint at the fair. This is a topless woman getting glitter or paint on the street. And then there's like another woman just standing there topless in line waiting to go.
She's already taken
Just
her top
all
off?
ready to go. Yes.
Interesting. Are there kids walking around ogling at this?
Very few. And the ones that were, I was like, this is okay. Not trying to be judgmental here, but I don't know if this is appropriate for children.
They probably get over it quickly enough.
I mean, most people have breastfed. So putting a little glitter on there shouldn't ruin anything.
I hate glitter until today, man.
Change your view on glitter. You asked about the bottoms. You didn't ask about the men. Now, that's where the bottoms really come into play.
Yeah, I don't really care about men's boobies. Tell me about the men's
You care about the
boobies.
men's bottoms?
No, not really. But
Well, I'm gonna tell you about them because very common for a man to be in nothing but a G-string.
mm-hmm.
And when I say a G-string, like in the back, it's so small that until you get close, you just think he's naked. Naked.
Naked. You're speaking Rihanna now.
And
You did naked.
there was
naked,
one,
naked.
and then there's a few guys who go the extra mile and have that situation.
a whole
But
mile?
when you turn to the front, they have one guy had a stocking that was just around his junk that went all the way down to the ground and like dragged. And I think he had a Santa hat on.
That's not what drag is.
No, it was.
Good, you know that.
He was literally had something dragging.
Okay, so that's a Chili Peppers tube sock taken to an extreme. And if you can step on it, then you're gonna lose your sock pretty quick.
It didn't drag all the time. And so there's a lot, and so sometimes it's like a couple. So there's a man who's dressed like that.
Okay.
Now it might be like a group of guys who are presumably gay and who are dressed like that, but then also there's like, this is an old man and his wife and he's dressed like that and she's dressed with the glitter boobs. And then sometimes there's glitter boobs and then the husband just has on like a golf shirt and he's not participating. It's like dressing up for Halloween. Sometimes you go in together and sometimes only one person participates.
This is intriguing.
It's so fascinating.
Couple of questions.
I'm ready to answer.
Did you see any topless glitterified boobed women who you could tell they were just learning the ropes? That they they weren't.
You mean like the glitter had a spotty pattern? What do you mean?
No, that they
like
were
a home job?
They were trying it for the first time. like for me in the tube sock, I like the idea of walking around in nothing but a tube sock. I do. I sincerely am intrigued by that. I would like to experience that.
I think there's a discount on tickets to Key West.
I'm gonna dog ear this conversation for when I tell you about my vacation and some things that I learned about my own nudity.
Oh, wow.
So we'll come back to that, but
no, to answer your question.
I'm intrigued, but is there someone someone who goes to Key West,
No.
did you think about wearing a tube sock? Did Jessie think about going topless? Was there a conversation here? And if she would have gone topless, it would have been,
There was a
I'm assuming-
discussion.
Okay, so I wanna know about that, and I wanna know if she were to go topless, there's an adjustment period of, okay, I am gonna put my shoulders back and I'm gonna own this.
I think you have to walk down the side streets first because there's a lot of-
Did you notice any of that?
No, I didn't notice it at all. I think people have practiced.
You didn't, that's weird to me. It's like, where did they practice? You didn't go on the side streets? How do people work up to being totally topless?
Well, I think you're confused about something. The Venn diagram between people who are uncomfortable being naked and people who got glitter on their boobs walking down the street in Key West, like there's two distinct circles that look like a pair of boobs. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha,
That's the Venn diagram. But
you know what I like to do to boobs?
You like to push them together. I understand that, but the circles never cross.
They don't, they just get
The
smushed.
boobs just they turn into ovals. They never cross. No one was uncomfortable, and that was the beautiful thing. Now, there were people, again, most of the average age of the people walking around, we're talking 40. And so there's a lot of people over 40. So that means that there was the occasional younger, less gravity affected women, just that they drew a lot of attention. And where I'm talking like 1 out of 10 would be like, oh, this is a young woman she's doing the glitter boob thing, or maybe she just got lots of just fishnet, nothing under it. That's another thing. I could go on forever about this, but I do want to talk about other things.
She was caught by a trawler or something.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fishing. There's a big fishing industry down there. And one of the things that would happen then is that people lock on to those. Yeah. There's a lot of,
that's double standard.
Is it ogling?
Ogling.
And there's a couple of times where that made me feel a little uncomfortable where I would be like kind of walking and I would be behind somebody. I go, oh, this is a younger lady who's, obviously I can tell by the way people are looking at her that she must be on display. And like the dudes would just stop, and most everybody is intoxicated, so there's just like this
open mouth
just following the boobs the whole time. I was like, come on, man.
Chill out. You're on an island.
But last thing I'll say about this before I move on to other things is there was a discussion, not a realistic discussion. Jessie wasn't about to do this, but she did say one night when we were just the two of us were walking around. So we had gone out to just the two of us. We were spending most of the time with Chris and Ashley, but there's one night where we just kind of went out on our own.
Yeah, that's the time. Just
and
give it a side street.
She was like, she said, what would you do if I were to tell you that I want to go and get my boobs painted and walk around like this? And I would be like, and I said, I think I would probably advise against it. Okay, she said, well, first of all, I would never do it because I just can't, there's more than a 7-mile bridge between her and her version of Jessie that would walk around topless at Key West, right? It's just not who she is.
Yet.
It's not who she is right now. But I said, well, honestly, it would, here's another thing. Speaking of Venn diagrams, the Venn diagram of mythical beasts and people who vacation at Key West, there's not a lot of crossover there either, which was a beautiful thing.
That's nice.
So I mean, there's minimal recognition.
No pictures of you in just a sock floating around on the Mythical Society
I think
forums.
the people who've chosen to be entertained by Key West, like they don't need anything else. They don't need internet stuff, man. They don't need Good Mythical Morning. They don't need a couple of doofuses eating weird stuff on the internet. Just go there and you'll see.
Yeah, they've got glitter. It seems like that's pretty much enough.
Because the thing I told her, I was like, I think the thing I would be most concerned about is like a picture of us getting taken. Like I wouldn't, and if you really wanted to do that and you wanted it to be your thing, I'd be like, more power to you. But she was like, so you're telling me that if there was no way anyone, like none of your fans, none of our family, no one would find out, you would be like, cool? I'd be like, yeah, it'd be fun, it'd be cool. she would never do it. And I wouldn't expect her to do it, and I would never pressure her to do it. It's just, there's a certain mentality that leads to that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what life path leads to glitter boobs at Key West, but there's quite a few people who get to it.
It's freeing, man.
They all seem very happy.
And I'm intrigued.
Okay, I got more to talk about. We do want to take a second to tell you about Black Friday.
Is that coming up already?
It is coming up, yeah.
Okay, if you want to be the first to know when our sale goes live, all you gotta do is sign up for our email and text notifications at mythical.com. I'm trying to fight off a burp while I
just embrace it, man.
Did it sound like it?
Yeah, it did.
Like
you should have just released it.
Like I was about to burp. Go to mythical.com. If you sign up now, you'll get a code for 10% off your first order. And then you get a little text notification, a little email. We'll do it tastefully, Key West style. Black Friday, mythical.com. Get ready for it, text email.
Before I move on to other things, just to establish, I really, 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 really like Key West.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I plan to go back, not because of the glitter, again.
I'm still a little surprised by that.
No,
I don't know.
Here's the thing. You know how
the way you describe it, because I didn't love Bourbon Street. I don't like the party streets and the bars and like the people retching into the culverts.
There wasn't a whole lot. I didn't see any retching. I did see just a pile of vomit somewhere.
Did the glitter boobs cover a world of your normal taste?
I want to explain. I also want to say that it wasn't just like
you Jimmy Buffett.
Every time we're going out, it's just like glitter boobs, glitter boobs, glitter boobs, and that's the only thing you're thinking about. You've seen one set of glitter boobs, you've seen them all, kinda. But there's live music. There's a bunch of people playing a lot of people playing country music, and the architecture of the whole place. I'm saying like during the day, we ride our bikes around.
I'm reading between the lines, but you haven't talked about being inebriated the whole time. So that would help bring clarity.
Was I inebriated the whole time, or if I haven't talked about being inebriated the whole time we've been doing this podcast?
Is that a factor in your enjoyment? Like island life, I stepped on a pop top.
Well, I didn't drink every single night, because when I drink every single night, multiple nights in a row, I start getting like psoriasis popping up on my face and stuff. So I have to kind of like watch that. And it honestly, walking around.
I'm no Cyndi Lauper, but I get it.
With a few drinks or no drinks at all, wasn't that, I don't do that. I don't get like, oh man, that guy's not gonna make it home drunk.
So this is a sober assessment. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the island itself. The island has been there for hundreds of years. It's my favorite type of house. This is where like Ernest Hemingway had a house and that you can tour. This is where Harry Truman had his little white house that he would go to, which was like this beautiful piece of property that he would go to convalesce from being sick of different things. And there's all these historic houses, and then you just you get off of the main drag, and there's these beautiful beach houses that, again, these things have been there for a very long time. Every single building, every single home is very, very old, and everything just has so much character. And then it's got classic like Caribbean vegetation where there's just so much plant life everywhere, and you just feel like I could go down this little alley and there'll be like a weird house here and a weird house. Nooks and crannies. I've talked about how much I love New York City and London because of the nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
The island version of nooks and crannies is Key West, and so the vibe, I kept saying it over and over again the first night. I was like, I love the vibe, and I hadn't seen a pair of titties yet. I was just like, I love the vibe of this
Not
place.
Even one peeking around the corner?
Nothing. And Jesse was like, oh, well, I knew you'd love this place because of the way that she's never been there, but just the way it had been described. And of course, I love to eat, and I love good food. And we started off, right after I got off the plane, started with a really good meal. So, and the company was great. We had a great time hanging out with Chris and Ashley. Hadn't seen them, in a while. It hadn't been just the four of us hanging out in a while. So my sober assessment of Key West is that, yes, it is if you're gonna lean into the partying, that's a certain personality. That's not me. I'm a people watcher, so I'm gonna go have a good meal, have a few cocktails, and then I'm gonna walk up and down the street and we're just gonna talk about it. There is a little bit of an element of like feeling like this isn't who we are. Like we're a little bit separated from this. It's kind of like going to a zoo and just watching, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's this sort of sense of separation from it, and hopefully not, I don't think judgment, but it's just like this, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna break it out. I'm not gonna wear a G-string. She's not gonna put the glitter boobs on. But we had a great time. It's a beautiful place and best explored on bike. Okay, you don't really.
Or golf cart?
There's lots of golf carts, but Chris and Ashley are really into the bicycles. Now, they had driven down with bicycles on top of their car.
On top of the car, okay.
And then they got nice bikes. Like Chris has this, I don't know how much it costs. It's a really nice.
Not an e-bike, is it?
It's not an e-bike, but it kind of has that vibe. It's got like a button on the handlebar to lower and raise the seat while you're going. There's for different modes. It's a beautiful like carbon fiber bike. It's awesome.
And Does it have a big seat? Is it a street bike?
It has
a mountain bike.
Oh, it's got a big seat. You got you got to be comfortable.
Okay.
And then Ashley has.
It's called a dropper post, by the way.
Okay, I don't know about the bike terms. Ashley has
very, very useful in mountain biking.
Like one of these.
Going on a Key West adventure, I know not why you need it.
She has
just if you're sized differently.
A very, I don't want to say Pee Wee Herman, but you know what I'm saying? Like one of those bikes that's got the wheel covers and it's painted and it's got like a design on it and it's it's a woman's bike.
It's funny that I've never seen those type of bikes on top of a car. You know when bikes are on top of a car and they're facing the same direction as the car?
Yeah. That
these people are serious about their bikes.
Yeah.
And then when you look up at the particular bike, you don't expect to see a Pee Wee Herman bike, but here we are. You can be serious.
But you know what I'm saying? Like a beach, it's like a really nice
top of the line beach
cruiser.
Yeah, I get it.
But like painted in like it was like an aqua with like there's like flowers or something. I don't know. It's another. This is an investment. These are different types of investments.
Yeah.
But both they're into the bikes.
You had to rent bikes to tag along, I guess.
Chris had handled it. He had the bikes rented and locked up at our hotel, ready to go. They were very excited about the bike exploration of the island. Now, I don't know if you've met my wife.
I don't know that I've ever seen her on a bike, I will say that.
Well, if you haven't met Jessie on a bike, you haven't really met Jessie.
Good Lord.
So, she did not fall. And there was a couple of moments, there was a couple of very close moments. And of course.
I know exactly how the joking went, like you were trying to set up the fact that like, everybody get ready, and then she probably got a little angry with your ribbing.
Well.
And then she got on the bike and there was no hiding.
Here's the thing. And I don't advise this, and I'm not necessarily proud of it, but we didn't wear helmets because helmets do not exist in Key West. Like, yeah, right. I think it might be against the law to wear helmets in Key West when on bike.
Maybe a shirt too.
Yeah, and so I don't recommend it, but I take my own responsibility for my own life, and when in Key West, I don't wear a helmet when I bike. And also, you get dressed up to go to dinner, and for Jessie, that means dress in heels.
Oh.
Now Ashley has some like technique for like, she gets her heels like here's the pedal and then here's the high heel and she like grips it like a claw.
That's how cowboy boots were originally designed, to go in a stirrup that same way.
Yeah, well she's got it figured out, but Jessie had not figured this out. And also the thing about Jessie is both Jessie and I tend to be rule followers. Jessie tends to be maybe a little bit more of a rule follower than me. When I'm on a bike, I'm like, yeah, I know that the traffic laws technically apply to me, but I'm on an island in this Key West, and who cares? And so I'm not gonna stop at the stop sign if I don't need to. And hey, this is a red light, but nobody's coming now. And Chris and Ashley and I are all on the same page. There's a lot of like coming up to a light and seeing that nobody's coming and just going through it. This is nobody. There's no cars, right? But Jessie would she would get mad when we got to a light and we just kept going. It led to some fights, right? And then she was also like, I'm not comfortable on the bike.
Of course, you weren't there for the fight because she was still back at the red light.
And she's like, I'm not comfortable if we're gonna drive to dinner and I'm gonna have a couple of cocktails. I'm not comfortable on the bike to begin with, and then you want me to drive back in my dress and my heels after a couple of cocktails without a helmet. She had a point.
She's gonna have to take the dress off, put on some glitter to get back home.
So what we
She'll get there.
We ended up modifying the bike plan for
I thought you said
Jessie.
we ended up modifying the bike.
Yeah, we created a flotilla of bikes. It's more like a car.
We put her in a wagon, like one of those.
We did talk about renting the golf cart because the golf carts, the golf carts are so great. I haven't seen your dad's down in Myrtle Beach, but like
I showed you the picture. Belch Life.
But like, is can his fit 6 people?
No.
Like 2 rows and then one facing the back?
No, his doesn't have a second row. It just has the back facing.
Most of the ones in Key West have capacity for 6 or as many as can hold on, plus very loud speakers, which is another thing.
Yeah, he's got that.
You gotta, and Chris and Ashley were on, they were ready for this. They have a speaker that Ashley puts in the front of her bike, and they have a playlist that's got, it goes everywhere, but it goes everywhere with us. And we bring the music to wherever we go.
Wasting away again. Like
no,
that?
they do. They have sort of like a Latin flair to
ole,
the music.
Ole.
Yeah,
Toyota.
Like Pitbull is where we're kind of is a Pitbull and everything surrounding Pitbull.
Chris and Ashley, they can pump some Pitbull. Like I can't see you and Jesse pumping some Pitbull.
The funny thing
volitionally,
is I don't know what it comes from, but I don't like to impose myself in places, right? I don't know what it is. A lot of tall guys have this thing where like we're a little bit hunched and we're trying to make ourselves a little bit smaller and we don't like to draw attention to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So the idea of having a speaker that's bringing the party wherever we go. Now, first of all, very common down there, but that took a little bit of an adjustment. But eventually, I just realized that we would go by people and everybody would be like, immediately begin dancing to it.
Oh, you were like fireball.
And I was like, we are doing the right thing. They've got this figured out.
Yeah, they've done the reconnaissance.
But we did not have a pirate ship. There was a pirate ship. The second night.
I didn't expect you to.
We're walking up and down and all of a sudden, hear the loudest music possible getting closer to us. And then I look and there is a float that is a pirate ship.
Like a parade float?
Like a parade float, but a pirate ship that goes all the way down to the ground like a lowrider. You couldn't even see the wheels. It looked like a pirate ship just sliding down the road. And then it has the masts of the ship are basically stripper poles. Let's just be honest.
Perfect.
And I'm showing you a video of that right now. You'll have to watch the video version link for you to see this because I filmed it. We actually followed it. And there's just this old dude. He's the only one up there dancing. And then there's several old couples who were back in the back kind of driving it. And the funny thing is they went past and Chris was like, that might be the Chamber of Commerce. Like he wasn't joking. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're dealing with.
Could you get on board and do a dance?
We thought about it.
Was that what was gonna happen later in the evening?
Every stoplight, more women got on eventually.
Oh.
And I mean, wow. Let me see. I'm talking
Fantasyland.
I'm talking Fantasy Fest. I'm talking about like a 65-year-old man with a ship's wheel is how he's controlling this thing.
Damn, he was really steering with that ship?
Yes.
Oh,
and
God.
There's all these people in the back who are in the age range and they are blaring WAP. As loud as you possibly can imagine. And there's just like old guy who's just like dancing to it. I'm just like, and everybody is stopping and filming it because it's so awesome.
Yeah, we are pirates.
That's what it stands for. Okay, so we got through the bike thing, but then we experienced the test of every marriage, and that is double kayaking.
Oh God, yes it is. That's it, isn't it?
It is.
Like I remember Kevin talking about his honeymoon to New Zealand, and they not only almost died on a double kayak because they were about to kill each other.
If you want to know if your marriage is gonna last, rent a double kayak and go on a kayak tour. So
and the way you know it doesn't last is you kill each other.
We've done this before. We did it in Hawaii, and then now we did it in Key West, and we were gonna go through the mangroves. Now, first of all, there's these beautiful mangrove.
These are trees that grow in the ocean?
They're the ones that are like, they're on these islands, but they're kind of in the ocean as well, and they shoot these roots down and just into the water and pull up the water. And they're like an environmental barrier for all kinds of stuff. And it's also like a nesting area for all these sharks and nurse sharks and crabs and all this. So we went on like an eco tour.
Also in the Everglades, I think.
I think so. I mean, mangroves are all over the world in coastal locations, but.
That sounds cool though.
There was tunnels, like these mangrove tunnels, and we would go through the tunnels because, like these channels, these tide channels that you could go through. And I was just thinking, man, I remember in Hawaii where there was some tense moments, and I was like, I go in thinking I want my own kayak and I want Jessie to have her own kayak. And then we get in line with the other people who are there, and the woman is like, if you can, please, if you have a partner, please get into a double kayak. That is what we prefer. And I'm like, damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we get into
It increases the chances of at least one person being able to get you back from wherever you need.
I get in the kayak and I say, I'm gonna be in the back, and I'm like, here's what, just as a reminder, in the moment that I begin talking like this, it feels very mansplaining to my wife.
But it's not, of course.
But, well, I mean, I've been on kayaks a lot, right? And so I'm just like, so I'm gonna be I'm the rudder. I'll be the one who turns us, you just be the motor. And I'm gonna take your lead, you take the lead in terms of the pace because I can see you, you can't see me. And I just want you to naturally just go right and left. And when you need to paddle, I'll let you know. And when you can stop, you can just stop. And for a lot of this, you probably won't even need to paddle. And I can immediately, even though I can't see your face, I know that I've already started this off on the wrong foot, but I'm just trying to establish some kind of system for us to enjoy.
And you sweeten the deal by seeming like you're doing a favor. I could do this all on my own.
And what I learned in a short period of time is that the double kayak experience with your spouse is a great analogy for marriage in general. Because first of all, you gotta stay in sync. You got to know your roles. And I'm not talking about like, traditional roles. I'm just saying that like you're dividing responsibilities in some way that you've mutually agreed upon. There is communication that is important.
Yeah, and you give your wife a stick so that she can bludgeon you with it.
Right. Now, I have to say that I believe that my marriage is significantly healthier than our double kayak experience. No, she didn't hit me. I don't even believe that we cursed at each other, but there was a number of times when I was like, Jessie, stop, like I told you don't have to paddle, because I'm trying not to be the guy who's yelling at his wife, and we're in a group. So I'm kind of just so she can hear me, I'm like, you can stop paddling now. And then she's like, well, you're not, yeah, but if I stop paddling, we're hitting this thing, or we're doing it wrong. We're about to hit them. She always thinks that we're about to hit somebody. It's like, I'm like, no, we're gonna go next to that person. Well, it seemed like we were gonna ram them. There was a lot of that. We did get through it. We literally got through the mangroves, and we got through without getting mad at each other. Got to know some people, and that's really cool. I got some great video of us kind of going through those tunnels, which you probably already have seen.
Did you think about putting the argument on Instagram? Because it's one thing to put the pictures, but like, I think that's really where we're at as a society. We gotta start putting our shit on Instagram.
No, I didn't.
I really like the Instagram photo versus real life. I'm a fan of that. Tempers expectations.
I didn't put any of this on Instagram. I did notice that when I am out doing something like this, I'm actually thinking more about the podcast than I am about my social media, whether that's strategic or not.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm like, I'm gonna take a video and I'm gonna take it landscape. All my video, most of it is landscape because I'm thinking about the presentation on YouTube on the video version of Ear Biscuits.
Well, to take up for us, I do think that it compartmentalizes it in a way that it takes a lot less effort to just think about something and shoot a little something that you want for yourself that you might share with people in this context later than sharing something in the moment and then you're drawn into the comments and the reaction to it and all of that. It's like, I think it's not pure, but it's a better choice.
Yeah, and the whole idea of like, I'm gonna capture this, and this, I'm gonna put it in like a photo dump. I just can't get there. I don't know if I ever will, and that's fine.
It's fine.
I wanna tell you a really cool thing that I brought. I have a visual aid, little show and tell I'm gonna show you. So one of the nights we're going up and down, taking in all the sights, We also did like I highly recommend this, self-guided food tour, like during the middle of one of the days, where Chris and Ashley were like, oh, there's this great Cuban place that does a really great burger. Oh, and there's this place on the water that does
they set up the tour, Chris and Ashley.
No, they were like, we're going to bike to the places that we think we should get things.
But it wasn't like there was no itinerary set by somebody else.
Yeah. And so
you didn't download a PDF.
And the funny thing is I've done this 2 times in the last month. When Shepard and I went to the Grove in LA, I was like, let's not just eat at one place, let's get a little thing at like 4 places.
Yeah, that's cool.
This self-guided food tours, I think it might be my new thing. But we did this there, we got this lobster pizza and then this lobster roll. Shout out to the guy who worked at the lobster roll place who was a huge Mythical beast.
So there was one.
And he's like, dude, I've been watching you forever. I have the Mythical shoes. So like
wow.
So there were a few of the younger set that I met that knew who we were. Anyway, ate a bunch of stuff. Oh, and then key lime. So I didn't know. I'm from South Georgia and I didn't know that like key limes are like the Florida Keys, like it's the lime that comes from that place, and key lime pie is the thing down there, and there's all these key lime shops, and there's key lime pie on every single dessert menu, and like key lime pancakes, a key lime everything, and I love key lime. It's top 3 favorite desserts, maybe number 1.
Are they smaller?
Well, there's a
They're
place.
More Floridian?
There's a place where you can get a key lime pie on a stick that's dipped in chocolate. And that was the end of the food tour, self-guided food tour. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I actually had to call my mom after that because she loves key lime pie.
Oh, were you crying?
A little bit, a little teary-eyed. But one night we're walking down.
So good you eat the stick, what it says on the stick.
Walking down the street and I see a guy selling his art on the side of the street. And he's currently doing his art as well, and it's pen and ink, which I've discovered this about myself in the past 12 to 18 months, that I'm a huge pen and ink art guy.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but
key lime goes with pen and ink.
Something about the level of detail.
Okay.
I've always been into people just doing this incredible detail in a relatively small space with just a pen.
I also think you're just as into realizing you're into something as you are being into it, which is a double cool.
Well, no, because there's a number of different arts that you're right about that, but I'm saying there's something specific about pen and ink that I was like, oh, I actually am a huge fan of this. You know, I do the little thing where I haven't done it in years, but I do like the little like mechanical drawings with a pen and with pencil. I haven't done it in years, but I do like these little intricate little mechanical drawings of like the system and the pipes and the stuff. I don't know if you've even seen.
Like Buddy System Season 1
yeah,
intro?
Yeah, I do that kind of thing
but
to kill time. I don't do it recently. Haven't done it recently. And so I see this guy doing this incredible pen and ink, and then he's got his prints that he's selling, and I just start talking to him. I'm gonna tell you about Daniel Linehan, okay?
Linehan?
Linehan with no D. And this is a guy who has set up, now first of all, we're talking to him and like, Jesse's like, oh, you're gonna love this. And we start going through his prints and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna leave with at least one of these. And you know, and he sells them for like $50 a pop. It's a print, and I'll show you the ones I got, and you know, and which is a great deal for a print on something that's this detailed. And so he begins kind of telling his story, and he's like, you know the van over there, the Sharpie van? We're like, yeah, we've been looking at it all week. He's like, yeah, I made that. So let me show you this guy.
Sharpie van.
So
like the marker Sharpie?
2016, this guy took a van.
Oh, wow.
And hand drew.
In Sharpie.
It's kind of hard to see just how, now different colors. Like the closer you get, there's incredible detail in every single panel. And he started drawing on this van. And then it's
like a full sleeve of tattoo, but it's a van, not an arm.
But listen to his story. So I'm gonna read, because this is an article
this is gonna be great for people to fall asleep to.
FikeysNews.com. Oh, Florida Keys News. Florida Keys, FLKeysNews.com.
Fikey.
One of my favorite websites. And So this is his story, which he ended up telling me as I sat there and talked to him.
Right.
So this guy's, and he's older, and so
he's
probably he's probably about 60 years old at this point.
Okay.
But what is he? I want to get to the part where he says, okay, because he told me.
Can you use his voice?
No, because I said
can you use an older voice?
Article. It's just I'll use an older voice, but just as somebody who lives in Florida Keys, reading the paper.
Okay.
Linehan recalls walking with a friend in Fort Myers when they came upon a young woman savagely.
Hold on. I was hoping for it to be.
Linehan recalls walking.
Just a little more like, this is dramatic.
Linehan recalls walking with a friend in Fort Myers when they came upon a young woman savagely beating another young woman, while a group of men stood guard to ensure the assault wasn't interrupted. He said he intervened and managed to separate the victim, who had lost consciousness, from her assailant, only to be jumped by 4 men who beat him so that he required hospitalization and was left with permanent damage in his right eye.
Oh, God.
I don't regret it, Linehan said. My own mother said, why did you help that girl? It could have been her or my daughter.
Is what he said.
Yeah, that was his answer. This is the thing, the day his eye patch came off, Linehan said he went home and sketched The Last Supper, all in freehand in black ink. He keeps a print in his van along with a portfolio of his drawings. Now, this guy had not drawn, which is the thing that the Florida Keys News, they need to work on the backstory, but.
If he had never been an artist before, that is a key point.
He had not drawn in 30 years.
Oh.
And he has this near-death experience. He wakes up, he takes off the eye patch, he can basically only see in one eye, and he sketches out this incredible hand-drawn Last Supper picture. And then he just moves on, and I'll show you the ones that I ended up getting from him.
The dude's a freaking hero. Oh, wow, look at this.
Oh, this is upside down. So,
Wormhole Substation.
Now, here's what I want to tell you about this guy. He does not use no reference, no ruler. It's all completely freehand, like where this is in the middle of this page is that's this line right here. All this stuff is just completely freehand and just with a pen. And then this is another one.
So let me explain the wormhole station for people. Okay, so it's some futuristic looking, there's rail cars, like subway cars wrapping around this thing that kind of looks like a space station, but it's very cushiony looking. And there's people, like weightless astronauts like tending to things, and there's like little one-man helicopter things that are floating around everywhere. It's very fantastical, very fantasy land.
And they're all very, very different. Like,
this
next one.
This one is an outdoor scene with mountains and forest, and it still has a train, but it's going across this amazingly detailed bridge from one tunnel on the right into the other tunnel on the left.
It's hard to communicate how long this takes somebody. And also,
he's a cool one.
He's talking about how he's like, I don't look at any other artist's work. I don't, because Jesse was like, do you have a website? He was like, no, I don't do social media. I got no website. He's like, this is my website. Me on Duval Street.
He said, this is my website?
Yeah. He basically was like, this guy has detached from the internet and is out there drawing this stuff on the street and selling the prints. This is the stuff that I'm into. I'm gonna put both of these up in my office at the Creative House.
I thought this was for me.
No, I didn't get you any. You can come into my room anytime.
I really liked this one.
Yeah, but I've never heard you say that you're in a pen and ink. You know what? You can take a picture of it and look at it on your phone anytime you want.
Can I make a print of the print?
No, well, I would charge you $50 for that. Maybe 60 to help with the tip.
It's mesmerizing. It almost makes me feel relaxed.
But I gotta say, if you are down there, and there's a lot of things to see, like I said, glitter boobies are one thing.
He is his own website.
But he's just living the life down there, drawing these incredible, he was working on one that was a playing card, and it was a king and a queen, and he had done one, and he was doing the next one. And I saw him for like 3 nights, because first night I hung out for a little bit and got his story, and then actually it was interesting, 2 different sets of people came up and were big fans of the show while I was buying this stuff. And so he was like, well, I finished my story, but now I gotta hear yours and why these people are coming up to you.
Well, my website is a real website.
And so then he wrote, because this man only works with a pen, he wrote down Rhett and Link on his palm.
On his palm.
And then the next night he chases me down. He's like, I saw, he does go on the internet, just so you know. He gets on the internet, he just doesn't have his own website.
He does, but that's it, in person.
And there is a Daniel Linehan who is an artist in Texas.
Not him.
Different guy who does have a website, by the way.
Screw him.
Different guy, not a pen and ink guy. So he chases me down. He says, oh, I checked it out, I love it.
That's it, I checked it out, I love it.
So shout out to Daniel Linehan. If you're in Key West, go by there, check out his art, support independent art, about as independent as you can get. Now, a couple of closing stories. One of the things that happened.
I gotta go to Key West, homie.
Oh, well, if you can ride a bike.
I mean, my dad's already been.
I would love to go to Key West with your dad. Good Lord, that would be awesome.
So I don't get a print, and now you just invited my dad to go after I just said I want to go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, I get it.
So
I get it, we need to have our own things.
Walking down the street, as I did over and over again, and I look like this, right? I'm a big guy and I've got a beard and I've got hair like this. And there's a lot of drunk people who will just say the first thing that comes to their mind. And at least 2 people said, Jesus.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, right, yeah. And they weren't, it was not as an expletive. They thought I was Jesus. And maybe Mormon Jesus, I don't know. Like really, really white Jesus. So that was fun. And I was
this is going in the con column of Key West for me.
But the best thing that happened was, lots of people dressed up like different characters because they're going, not just glitter boobs and thongs, but people dressed up as characters because they're getting ready for Halloween. It's like 10 days to Halloween, let's get started. And there's a guy clearly dressed as Jack Sparrow, and he was either actually drunk, seemed very drunk, or he was just a great actor, like Johnny Depp level acting drunk.
Okay.
But the way he addressed me and what he said to me makes me think that he was actually drunk, because he saw me from a distance and came up to me and he was like, Mimosa! Jason Mimosa.
Jason Mimosa, like the drink.
The drink. And
I mean that is the perfect thing for Jack Sparrow to say in modern times.
But
to you,
the thing is he was not joking.
Jason Mimosa?
He wasn't joking. He had a few mimosas himself, and he has now given me my alter ego. I'm not Jason Momoa. I'm Jason Mimosa, man. I'm the
much more accurate.
I'm the Wish.com version of Jason Momoa. Now, by the time this airs, you'll know whether or not we pulled it off, but as soon as this guy called me Jason Mimosa, that was when, Jesse and Chris and Ashley were like, well, you got your Halloween costume now. And we're like, what are we gonna do? Is Jessie gonna be a champagne glass and she's just with me? Or is she look like a brunch mom? I don't know how the costume's gonna come together. You'll know now. It might be on my Instagram if I figure it out, but that was a highlight, was being called Jason Mimosa.
Yeah, okay.
And then final story, has nothing to do with Key West, but it is a story that was communicated to me while I was in Key West, and it was the biggest laugh that we got while we were in Key West. And I do want to premise this with the fact that we had a couple of cocktails, so you're in a completely sober state, so you can be the judge of how funny this is.
I'm never in a completely sober state, right?
So Chris.
There's no way to be.
Chris is, he's got a guy who's working on his house doing some kind of repair. And he's getting to talk to the guy, and somehow the guy ends up saying how old he was, 60, 65, something like that. And Chris is like, wow, you look really good for your age. What's your secret? And he leaned in and said, with no sarcasm or irony at all, he said, I eat pussy every day.
Are you serious? What?
Yeah.
Oh God.
So,
Hey.
that really spoke to me. And it gives me something to live
Fountain
up
of
to.
youth, huh?
Yeah, so
A regular
apparently,
old Ponce de Leon.
yeah, so anecdotally, that is the way
Wow.
to keep that skin looking young. The dude is not joking. It's like a really, it sounds like the kind of thing like
Fountain of youth.
a guy would say as a joke, but I was like, did he?
Every day, huh?
Then he laughed, and Chris was like, no, he didn't. And then because he didn't laugh, Chris was like, I don't know what the follow up to it was, but
I think it's, so you're a cat person.
when you're at dinner in Key West and you've had a few cocktails and somebody tells that story, you laugh an embarrassing amount, but it doesn't matter because you're in Key West.
You know what
That's
I like?
the wonderful thing about
I'm starting to pride myself on being the person in public places that's having the most fun. Like, there's nothing wrong with laughing the loudest. Everybody just gets jealous. I love that.
You're actively doing this?
It's happened a few times, and I'm like, it's great. It's great knowing that you're having the most fun at an establishment. And everybody knows it.
Well,
That's not why you do it.
Hey, I'm about to say, what's the motivation? Is it
just
like
start
I'm
laughing.
doing it to show off, or I'm doing it because I'm uninhibited? They're two very different things.
It's much better to be the laugher than being the person judging the laugher.
Yeah, nobody in Key West is going to judge you
That's
for
right,
anything.
and that's the beautiful thing about it.
There are places to laugh like that, and there are places not to. So anyway, I recommend Key West.
Sounds like it.
Do I have it? Is it my rec in general?
Yeah.
I don't think I can just give you the go to Key West rec. I mean, that's that's just not something that everybody's in a position to do. So,
You may regret it.
but I do highly recommend it while it's still above water. But I will say, completely unrelated, I had never read. So this is my official rec. Never read anything from Andy Weir. You know, the guy who wrote The Martian.
Mm-hmm.
I'd seen the movie. But then he has this new book, Project Hail Mary. And I don't believe I could have read it, like physically read it. I listened to it. The only reason I'm saying that is because he is so technical and he gets into the science in a lot of detail, where I think that my attention span, I would have had trouble sticking with it, but it was perfect to listen to because I am interested in all that stuff. But great story. I mean, I was like, oh, this is why everybody talks about how great this is. It kind of reminded me, because you talked about the 3-body problem, which I think you recommended at one point way back in the day, but just like a sort of futuristic interstellar, story that gets into some really interesting scientific details, but also just happens to be a great story about humanity and things beyond humanity.
You finished it.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I finished it and was like, oh, if you like Andy Weir, he hasn't written that much stuff, so it's just like, if you like Andy Weir, what else can you read? And I'm trying to find some things, and so far I've not been satisfied.
Okay, well.
But I think I might have to read that 3-body problem since you talked about it.
You might have to. I'd listen to that too if I were you, for the same reasons. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
there you
Andy
go.
Weir, not weird. All right, next week I'm gonna talk to you about my escapades. My escapades in Big Sur on the coastline of California with my wife. So come on back, y'all. In the meantime, #Ear Biscuits. Be a part of the conversation. Weigh in on Key West and any of the stuff that Rhett talked about.
Please do.
Bye-bye. To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.